So now it's June, July 2021. He and I are living at my parents' home. I started a new job in sales and was able to advance pretty quickly to a supervisor role within 2-3 months, which paid well enough to afford my dream car. As for my marriage, we had a steady relationship for the remainder of the year. Me had our good and bad moments, but overall it was still a blank feeling. I didn't know what I felt towards whether it was anger, sadness, depression. I just felt like the marriage was just existing for no reason. That by the start of 2022, there was a bit of reconciliation between us, enough for us to start going out on dates again. We opened up more, but we were still wondering where our marriage stood. Everything was seemingly okay until May 2020, where my life flashed before my eyes. I invited my friends over for a hangout at my parents' place to watch a boxing match. He told Dee about it and stated how it will be only for a few hours and to expect some yelling as we get passionate about sports, and she was okay with it. As the fight kept going, we kept getting louder and louder, to the point she was angrily texting me to keep the noise down. She would come out to grab snacks or use the bathroom, only to keep slamming the door back to the room. After the fight, one of my friend's trucks had a dead battery, so I used my car to jump it. While we're jumping it, the four of us kept conversating for about another half hour. While we were talking, I demanded me through text to come inside repeatedly, to which I texted back that we're finishing up. As I'm just about to head inside, Y storms outside the house and heads to her car. I asked if everything was okay, but she had a very serious look on her face, and she angrily pushed me aside. Before leaving to Chicago, my dad installed outdoor solar lights in the front yard. Sent me for you with the probe. The way Yu's car was positioned, her only way out was through a grass area that had one of these lights. She revved up her car, and before she took off, I tried to stop her from running over the light and asked what was wrong. She paused for about 5 seconds, then stepped hard on the gas and almost ran me over. I jumped out the way as fast as I could, getting grazed on my knee. She drove off fast, dragging the light beneath her car, scraping the road. I sat on the ground with a surprised look on my face, thinking how she just almost ran me over. My friends helped me up and asked if I was okay. I just looked at them in shock and they offered their help. I told them just to go home while I went back inside, shaken up from the moment. I kept calling I's phone to see why she did what she did. I go inside our room to find her phone on the ground unlocked. I go through the phone for the first time in months, and turns out there were still secrets to find out about EC. Turns out I and Jay actually had a continuous affair for months, ranging from March 2020 to October 2020. It's about 2 a.m. I was still freaking out about this incident. I repeatedly called my sister, who lives down the road from me, about what just happened, but with no response. He returns and tries to enter the home, but I managed to lock the door with an additional lock. I sneak out to the back and drive over to my sister's house while hyperventilating as I pursued me. Next, I get to my sister's house, knocking, but as I pulled up in the driveway, I began knocking frantically as my sister and her husband finally opened the door. This caused I to back off and drive away. I explained the situation to my sister and cried to her about what just happened, and finally opened up about how she cheated on me in the past. It was a hard pill to swallow, but I was ready to finally let this marriage go. I asked her to accompany me back home to make sure he doesn't try to hurt me again. When we get there, I was already packing up her belongings. I kept my distance for about 5 minutes, then asked her to give me back the rings and the keys. She already expected this as she had them in her pocket and gave them to me. She grabbed her suitcase and took our golden doodle with her. My sister and I talked a bit longer, and then she finally goes home. That night was a long one for me. At 18, I slept at about 6 a.m., only to be woken up about 7 a.m. to knocking on my window from Y. She spent the remainder of the night in her car and asked if I could at least take back the golden doodle inside. As much as I wanted to, I ignored her knocking. This went on for about 30 minutes. Later on, I reached out and met up with her to talk about the situation. I finally told her about everything I knew and decided it would be better for us to separate. She cried and begged me to let us work this out, but I was tired of the emotional and physical abuse, the lies, the heartbreaks, everything. As toxic as it sounds, what followed afterwards for Yai was actually satisfying, as I felt like I was karma for everything she has put me through. I will sound like a dick in the next part, but I believe I deserve a genuine laugh for once.